Although this part of the series is titled Discussion, there are an infinite amount of sub-discussions that can come about as a result of this research. Enough to maintain a very active YouTube or Patreon channel even. But let's try to stick to a few points about overall environmental impact in the context of our planet and global economy in general. There's no doubt that the Bitcoin network uses large amounts of energy, and yes, as the Bank of International Settlements so smartly observed, it uses more power than the country of Ireland. However, as alluded to in part 1 of this series, this energy is necessarily required to effectively turn electricity or power into money. While emissions are high, this is due to the composition of the world's energy grid, and over time, emissions will continue to reduce proportionately to the amount of power that is being used. Some critics have labeled Bitcoin as an environmental disaster, but it's been demonstrated that Bitcoin is dramatically less harmful to the environment than the gold mining industry when other key environmental indicators are assessed. Others have made the very fair criticism that energy costs per transaction are unruly, especially when volume of transactions, which is about 7 per second, is considered in the total context of the total power being used by the network. As with every single criticism of Bitcoin I've read about in the past 5 years, however, the criticism is only temporarily fair. Some of these criticisms are made by huge intellects and people who I greatly admire, so their utter lack of imagination and foresight disappoints me somewhat. For example, the Lightning Network, which allows for effectively unlimited, instant, extremely low-fee transactions, now has over 3,500 nodes, 12,000 channels, a capacity of over 110 Bitcoin, and is growing steadily at a good pace. It may not be unrealistic to expect a Bitcoin network that can process several hundred near-feeless transactions per second by the end of 2019, and potentially several thousand by the end of 2020. This would effectively allow Bitcoin to scale its transactional capacity by several orders of magnitude, all without any additional energy consumption. In fact, energy use per transaction will tend towards zero as more people adopt Bitcoin and transact on its Lightning Network. Another criticism is that energy use by market cap is unusually high. Throughout this research, we can see that the cost to mine, and hence the price and market cap, is greatly influenced by the price of electricity. Now, you won't find anyone in the world who's more anti-cap and trade than me, but let's just say it existed and external costs needed to be internalized. You may be looking at a global energy cost of around 30 cents per kilowatt, mostly due to the skew towards coal and oil. If that was the case, cost to mine a Bitcoin today would be about $25,000, resulting in a market cap of almost $450 billion at no change in electricity consumption. This $450 billion of hard money for only a fraction of a percent of our world's energy production will be proven by history to be a great value for money deal. As Bitcoin's market cap grows, let's say, to orders of magnitude to bring it in line with gold's $7 trillion market cap, the Bitcoin mining industry will start to drive innovation in the world's electrical generation market due to the sheer amount of energy that the network will demand. A very stable price would mean less risk in investment, which will contribute towards a virtuous cycle towards a third, fourth, and fifth order of magnitude over the coming centuries. Judging by current profits that mining hardware manufacturers currently make, mining companies may even become large enough to vertically integrate and acquire energy companies. And to remain as competitive Bitcoin miners, the energy will need to be very cheap, which means a high likelihood of migrating to hydroelectricity and other renewables that get cheaper by the kilowatt hour every year. Lastly, we've also presented some broad assumptions about the composition of the Bitcoin mining market and the dynamics at play that affect the cost to mine a coin. As the industry grows by a magnitude or two and becomes more competitive, the market price of a Bitcoin will start becoming more correlated with the cost to mine, just as the case for traditional commodity producers. Over the next few months and years, I'll be expanding this discussion with regular posts on my YouTube and Patreon channels, with the patrons getting a lot of extra goodies. Thanks for bearing with me for what has been well over an hour of dense video material leading up to this finale. I really had a great time making these videos, from learning how to take videos, to editing them, and even how to use a microphone correctly. And I'll say sorry about the first video in this series, by the way. The audio was shocking and I'll re-record it soon. I'll also be making an abridged 25-minute video of this series over the coming months, along with a few Bitcoin giveaway competitions, so keep a lookout on my Twitter for more info. Thanks again, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.